Yay!
And there we have it. Now we know whose birthday it is.
Do we?
It is the 10,000th celebration of the
Belize
Barrier Reef.
And of course, joining us this morning, we have the people that will help us throw the big party that Brighton and I are 100% invited to. We have with us in studio Marty Alvarez, who's a representative of the Belize Audubon Society, and Vivian Ramnares, who is representative of the Fisheries Department. Welcome. Thank you guys for joining us this morning.
Good morning. Well, that definitely set the mood for this morning.
I was not expecting the cheer. I was very excited.
Yeah. The Barrier Reef has been with us for a long time. And we were talking this morning about just how important the Barrier Reef is in terms of the Atlantic hurricane season and what the ecosystem services that it provides for us. Speak to us about the Barrier Reef and it being a World Heritage Site and what that means for our country going forward.
So the Belize, well, it's actually called the Belize Barrier Reef Reserve System. That's the official name of the World Heritage Site. And it was designated in 1996. It's different from other marine World Heritage Sites where it's just one site. Ours is a cluster site, so it's made up of 7 marine protected areas across our offshore. So, you know, it's you have this management thing that you have to play with because it's 7 different sites and they're managed by 7 by the Fisheries Department and through 2 NGOs through co-management with the Forest Department, such as Belize Audubon Society and Southern Environmental Association. But these 7 sites, Bacalar Chico Marine Reserve and the Forest Reserve, you have the Blue Hole Natural Monument, you have the Half Moon Key Natural Monument, Saltwater Key Marine Reserve, Glover's Reef Marine Reserve, Laughing Bird Key National Park, and
Zapadilla Keys Marine Reserve.
One of the things that has always interested me as a Belizean, and I guess for many Belizeans out there, is that we take ownership and pride of the Belize Barrier Reef. But it's not just for us, right? It stretches from Mexico, Yucatan, all the way down to Honduras. So tell us what gives Belize that ownership.
Well, like you said, it is a part of the larger Mesoamerican Barrier Reef, and like you rightly said, it's not just for us, it's for, you know, humanity on a whole, and how important it is to us, and as it relates to culture, economic, you know, social economic, you know, it's important to 2 important sectors, our tourism sector, our fisheries sector, and like you said, you know, the ecosystem's value as it relates to coastal protection, dead or alive, it does play a role in protecting our coast from, like, for example, hurricanes. I already forgot what I was going to say.
That's okay. Speak to us a bit about the Belize Barrier Reef in terms of the types of protective measures that are being put in place to conserve the reef from its quote unquote death, because we know that climate change is impacting the global community, And certainly our waters are getting warmer, and so it's impacting the barrier reef as well. Speak to us about some of the protective measures that are being put in place.
So before I answer that, I would just want to say, explain some of the reasons why it became a World Heritage Site. One, it displays various reef types in such a small area. A fringing reef, barrier reef, the main barrier reef that we have where there's a lagoon. And then we have 3 out of 4 atolls on this side of the world. And also different types of reefs, such as furrow reefs, which are like tiny atoll-like reefs that we can find in saltwater marine reserve. But there's also the amount of species that we have, the unique geological feature like the blue hole. So all of that, and the fact that it's a habitat for a lot of our threatened and endangered species. And we also have some endemic species that can only be found in Saltwater Key Marine Reserve in the whole world. We have, like tunicates and sponges, and we also, which is why it's my favorite reserve, there's also in the Pelican Keys range where coral is actually growing around the mangrove roots. It's amazing to see, but going through all the measures that we've been taking over the years, Belize is really a leader in a lot of in conservation as it relates to the marine environment. The protected areas network is one measure, and we've expanded recently with the no-take zones. Recently too, we've protected the remaining national lands in some of those reserves as mangrove reserves. We've protected grazers so that they could promote the health of corals. Updating of legislation, the Fisheries Act, the EIA regulations, the Integrated Coastal Zone Management Plan. There's a lot of things that we've been doing over the years, and we're still continuing to do. And, so we're really, I think it's really helped us. All these measures that we've put in for the past decade, I think if we didn't do them, we would be, our reef would probably be in a much poorer state.
Right.
So
because I think that about a decade ago it was declared endangered, and we had done all of these measures to stop certain like sea fishing, seawater dredging, and all that stuff. So can you walk us through how we have made that progress from when we were declared endangered to now that we are officially
so so the World Heritage Site was put on the endangered list in 2009, and it was mainly at that time due to mangrove alteration, and also, for example, the invasive rats on Half Moon Key. And then throughout the years, then we had the lionfish invasive species. There was even talks of offshore oil exploration. So all of that, was reason why we remained for so long. And so I think it was 2014 or 2015 when the Fisheries Department took over the national focal point, we started to have more conversations with the Marine World Heritage Program under UNESCO and also IUCN. And so they came to Belize, and that's where it all started, finding out how we can get ourselves off. And so we came up with some indicators, some targets on how to get off. And so in 2018, we had completed almost all, so they allowed us to come off the endangered list. And so with the recent designation of the mangrove reserves in Saltwater Key and Sapodilla Keys Marine Reserve, we are now completely finished with all those targets under that, what they call the desired state of conservation.
So the barrier reef is 10,000 years old. How do we measure her age?
Well, the thing is, we would say, right now scientists have done several works, and they have estimated that our barrier reef is between 5,000 to 10,000 years old. So we went with it 10,000 years old, of course, for our marketing strategy and to
Right.
So on add age to the gal.
Yeah, so to promote her, end of the day, you know what? The older you are, the more like some people age like wine. You know what I mean?
Right. I agree.
So we went with that age for the marketing strategy, and of course to promote the awareness of the importance of the barrier reef. So it's something that we do benefit from. Over 500 million people all over the world depend on the barrier reef for either food, protection, and income. So it's something that's very, very important to us. Of course, as Belizeans, we're a coastal community. Hurricane season is right around the corner. And believe you me, if you're outside the reef or outside the barrier reef, you get some huge swells and waves.
Yes.
I'm glad you mentioned that it's for a marketing purpose, because automatically that signals to me tourism. And it also signals to me just how much the barrier reef plays a role in terms of the development of our economy, or how it drives our economy forward. Speak to us about the relationship that's ongoing with, for example, the tourism industry, to ensure that the increase in cruise tourism or flight tourism coming into country does not affect the reef. What are some of the measures being taken to ensure that there's balance in terms of sustainably developing?
Do you have a picture of the logo?
Oh. Do we have a picture of the logo? No. We don't. Tell us why it's important that we have a picture of the logo.
The logo was designed to
See, there it is.
yeah, it was designed to be similar to the BTB, the tourism.
Okay.
So if you look at it, you see the similar colors and you know the similar font, and it, while like under the Blue Economy Ministry, you know, we have that we have the cluster group where we invite the tourism industry into those meetings, and as well with this planning committee, BTIA and BTB are also a part of it. But really, we do collaborate with the tourism industry. I feel like we need more collaboration, because especially with the tour guides in, you know, I know that they do their certification program, but I feel like there's need for more collaboration and training. You know, because I've personally seen some stuff that I'm not, not happy with, but also looking at, like, for example, in the reserves, finding out what are the limits of acceptable change or current capacity for certain sites that you know, that you allow just a certain amount of tourists in one area to maintain the health of that ecosystem there.
Right.
Now, how do you balance that kind of protection and the livelihood of some of these organizations and these tour companies?
Yeah, it's pretty difficult, and that's why we always try to collaborate in a lot of the stuff that we do.
I like to say that most of the time when it comes to protection as well, most of our tour guides, I believe, they are stewards of their environment compared to some fishermen. They use it as their livelihood. So going back there with their tourists, getting their tours, getting their tips is something that they continuously do. But the overall protection also comes from government agencies like the Fisheries Department, co-managers such as myself that do management patrols. More likely we patrol the barrier reef, certain areas like we mentioned before, the 7 areas that stretches along the coastline of Belize. So for example, Bass has rangers that they do enforcement patrols to provide management presence around the entire atoll. Down south, I believe Southern Environmental Association does the same thing, Fisheries Department does the same thing to ensure that fishers are fishing sustainably. And there are also tourism regulations, so ensuring that tourists don't step on the coral. You know, those take thousands of years to grow, and they are very important to our economic industry. So everybody, I believe everybody benefit from the barrier reef. Be it the hoteliers, the restaurant. When the tourists come, they need
Right.
place to stay. They want to go partying. They eat from the street vendors. So it's a holistic, beneficial environment ecosystem,
Yeah.
so to speak,
Yeah.
for everybody in Belize.
And what he's saying is that keyword, holistic.
Right.
Because while we are branding the World Heritage Site, it only takes up, 12% of the actual reef system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we do really have to look at it on a holistic level and in like for management measures. We can't think that there's, just because you're designated within a reserve, meaning that there's closed boundaries, you know?
So I want to give you the opportunity to sell this birthday party to us
Right. Because we're invited, Brighton.
yes, we are invited.
We are
We
invited.
invited ourselves. But speak to us about what makes our barrier reef so special in comparison to the Australian barrier reef. What makes our reef stand out?
Well, like I said, we have the various types of reefs
Yeah.
in such a small area compared to theirs. Their barrier reef is very large, but ours, you know, you have the different types. We have 3 atolls, like I mentioned, on this this side of the hemisphere.
We have the blue hole.
Yes, the blue hole.
That is a Belizean icon, you know.
It is.
Exactly.
The minute you see that on any postcard, you know that it's
Huge-
Belize.
It's a huge diving, what do you call it?
That
Site.
haven. It's,
Yeah,
it's,
yeah,
it's something
for
that everybody
Divers
has
around the world come here just to dive the blue hole.
Yeah.
So.
their bucket list. So imagine diving that blue hole.
Also, ours is alive.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've heard actually, that ours is bouncing. It's alive, and the
Vibrant.
fishes and the corals are living harmoniously.
I think Australia would disagree that theirs is dying.
It's a good thing they don't watch us.
They are experiencing a lot of coral bleaching events.
Okay.
I think 4 in the past 7 years. I think right now they are going through one, I think a couple of months ago. I'm not sure if it's still ongoing, but it's really, because it's happening so quickly, it's giving corals a hard time to recover. So if it keeps going like this, then yes, they will end up dying, but they will argue that it's only you know, certain parts and not the whole reef that is being impacted.
Are we engaging in coral restoration in Belize right now?
Of course. From Fragments of Hope, they have been working with the government, and they're the ones who are leading coral restoration in Belize since 2006. And so they first started in the Laughing Bird Key National Park, and I believe in probably like 7 or 8 years, they've went from, I think, 5% coral cover to 60% in certain areas. So it's really been successful in that national park.
So as I think we were talking about before, that every Belizean, as they grow up and learn about, you know, the environment in Belize, they talk about the barrier reef, right? So, but tell us something that maybe they don't teach us in school. Oh wow!
The thing is, certain things that we do get in school are, I would say, for example, some of the symbiotic relationships that you might find out there. So animals benefiting from each other. I didn't learn that in school. I had to learn that elsewhere. But for example, the groupers, you always see some shrimps or cleaning shrimps. So what would happen? It's important for the kids to learn that there's complex food webs out there, especially in the marine world. So for example, the symbiotic relationship I'm speaking about is the cleaning shrimp that goes inside the mouth of the groupers to basically give it a dental floss, eating all the extra meat and bacteria that's in there, cleaning the grouper, and in turn they both have a beneficial relationship. The grouper gets his mouth clean, and the shrimp got
Food,
lunch or dinner.
Yeah, absolutely.
But even though in primary school you learn about the reef, you know, something as basic as what is coral, because I've been on site visits where people call it rock,
Yes.
and it's not a rock. it's an animal.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, you know, learning all these things in school, you know, we really need to, I admit that we, even ourselves as a fisheries department, we need to do more in schools, you know, more going to school, more schools and teaching them about the reef itself.
Right. I guess if you learn that the coral is a living thing and not a rock, you learn to appreciate it more, and you won't want to step on it. So we're talking about the barrier reef. It's beautiful. I keep watching all of the clips that you're putting on the screen. But tell us about the birthday celebrations, and because it's a jam-packed week of activities. So walk us through the calendar of events and then the gala that Brighton and I will be attending.
Also, the gala is for conservation partners, as well as I can't say the general public as yet, but for invited guests. So you could speak to Miss Emily. I guess she will give you your invitation.
Miss Emily, we are looking forward to that invitation.
So the first day I think we have up on the calendar is what do you have there?
We have June 3rd, Friday.
So that's the gala. So we'll hear a lot about the barrier reef, the importance to us, and of course you could wine and dine. It's event, dress up, you know, come looking nice. So make sure you put on your best suit, guys.
So he's telling us, we're going, So and the next event?
The next event will be
the family fun day at Placencia.
Okay, yeah. So they should be having a family fun day, meaning that they will as well do a lionfish shootout. They said they will go out around Laughing Bird Key, do some clearing of the lionfish. You know, it's an invasive species that kind of harm to our barrier reef. So we're gonna take that off the reef, and we're gonna likely educate some of the public about the spines and so forth. Then you got that family fun day. The following day, I think it's World Oceans Day. That's that June 8th.
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Yeah. So that's a big environmental fair, and we will have several NGOs in attendance. Belize Audubon Society will be there. The Fisheries Department will be there. We've had some other confirmation from WCS. So other entrepreneurs that will be selling jewelry or other stuff that that are made from
resources from the sea.
Yeah.
Wow. And then Friday, beach cleanup day.
Yes, that will be in
San Pedro.
San Pedro. So, you know, taking off all those garbage from the reef, that's something that's very important, because we all know in primary school we've been told that, you know, if the plastics, the turtle mistake it for jellyfish and they eventually consume it and swallow it. So we want to try, and this whole week is for the protection and the importance, the awareness of our barrier reef, you know, 10,000 years.
You know, when I saw the beach cleanup and I saw sargassum, one thing we were talking about the development of industries this morning, and one thing that struck me immediately is, are we engaging in discourse in terms of the development of an industry to utilize sargassum for biofuel purposes or for fertilizer developments? Is there that type of discussion happening within the ministry?
There is a sargassum task force that was developed when it started becoming an issue and how to clean it up, and there was also discussions on how they can use it. But right now, they're doing, like, under the Caribbean Regional Fisheries Mechanism, they're doing a regional project on sargassum, so they're collecting samples. So I think, I'm not sure if it's finished here in Belize, but they were collecting samples here to test it, because I believe it was in Mexico, they tested it and it was high in heavy metals, so you wouldn't want to use it for certain things. That's why we're a part of this regional project. But if you want a show on that, we got the right person for that.
Okay. So no more questions about the sargassum is what she is saying. No, I mean, it is something that we are seeing becoming more of an issue, and we're trying to. I mean, Belize is very good at resilience and utilizing their resources, no? So hopefully.
Some have been using it as a landfill, and But I think people have to understand that with the warming of our waters, with nutrients in our waters, this will become a
algae buildup
reoccurring event. So it's just finding ways to adapt to it.
Yeah. But talk to us more about World Ocean Day and why is it that it's important that we celebrate that?
World Oceans Day, well, it's celebrated throughout the world by various, so a lot of organizations, they will be celebrating in some way or form. You know, a lot of them have been invited to like webinars where they're discussing different ways how to protect the ocean, how to, what management measures are out there that, you know, share experiences. And so that's why we're doing this fair to showcase what we as a country have been doing to protect our, you know, our marine resources and the environment.
All right, any final words for our viewers before we come to an end?
Wow. Well, come out at World Oceans Day at the fair, and of course, you know what, try and continue putting your garbage in the proper way, you know what, try and protect the reef. So everything that occurs on land does go...
Ridge to reef approach.
Yeah, so it does go all the way out to the sea. So anything upstream, if you don't have proper management of our garbage upstream, it goes out to the reef. And you know, it's for us. Let us try our best to
don't leave the work all to us as, you know, government and the NGOs. You know, the public, you can do your part in protecting the reef.
100% agree. So just walk us through one more time the activities.
The gala.
Which we're invited.
We're going to go in until we find the suit.
The family fun day in Placencia on Sunday. The fair on Wednesday, which is World Oceans Day, and then the beach cleanup on the 10th in San Pedro.
Wonderful.
Well, there we have it. If you're interested, please go out. In fact, be interested.
Be interested.
We invite you to go out and help to clean up our beaches. We invite you to celebrate the 10,000th birthday of the Belize Barrier Reef. Go out with your family, engage with the community, get our beaches clean, and let's continue to protect and conserve our barrier reef.
Lovely.
With that said, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to going to this gala.
Yes.
see you there.
But we need to take a break, and when we come back, we'll be joined by representatives from the Belize Cancer Society. So stay with us.